say, that, hey, there's God working, so we really can't do nothing about this, So I hope I interpreted halfway. Right? So, we good? Everybody still with me? Now, at the core of this climate smart agriculture thing, which I made it a point to mention, is like safe driving. You cannot just do one practice or two practices, pick and choose, and then claim that you're a safe driver just because you exchange your brakes and because you have on brand new tires. But if you had on brand new tires and with fancy brakes and you're constantly breaking the speed limit, overtaking without indicating, have lights that are either too bright, as in illegally too bright, so that although you feel you're a safe driver, you're helping half-kill plenty of people coming up the road, especially people my age group who have difficulty driving at night already. So when you come with your fancy xenon lights and thing, you might think you're a safe driver, but you're really not as safe as you feel, just because you have brand new brakes and brand new tires, right? Like there are a lot of old fellas in Trinidad who keep telling you, I drive in 60 years, I'll never get an accident, but it costs about 20, right? Because you could be unsafe by not following the rules. If you go to the German Autobahn and drive at 10 miles an hour, you're going to kill people, because everybody else on that highway doing 80, which is the minimum. You go and do 10, it's like you park up in the middle of the highway. People could be running into you, people go dead, right? You with me? So you have to be very clear when you're selling this concept, when you're telling people about climate smart agriculture, you have to be clear it is a package. Are we agreed? It is a package. If you do it piecemeal, you can lead people astray. Listen to me carefully. You can lead people astray. If you tell a person, because you come down here to Hubbard's or whoever it is and fit these new disc brakes as opposed to the shoes that your car had before, you're now a safe driver, you're setting them up. You're setting them up because that is not all that is involved in safe driving. In the same way, all that is involved in climate smart agriculture is multifaceted, is an amalgam, it's a grouping, it's an association of practices that make up a package. And that's what I'm going to attempt to discuss with you for the next couple of minutes. Agreed? So is there anyone who is not too taken up with that explanation and who feel that just because I put in a water harvesting system, it's climate smart now? So, or you can't touch me, right? If you think because you're composting and killing people, don't get me wrong, you can be composting and killing people, right? You see, one of the unique perspectives I've had, I've been very lucky. I consider my entire career to be a sequence of lucky breaks, so to speak, right? When I moved to Grenada in 2014 or 15 or whenever it was, one of the first consultancies I did was with NASA. I headed the team that did their strategic plan. And I brought the climate change perspective to their plans, right? And subsequently, over the years, even before G Cruise, I was able to now work with other agencies in Grenada and see how all of this is tied. So one of the consultancies I did was with CAFSA, which is the Caribbean Agricultural Health and Food Safety Agency, which is headed by a Grenadian, actually. It's a guy who used to be at Standards Bureau. Mr. Collins, right, yeah. Right? Samuel Collins. Simeon, right, yeah. Right. So here I was talking to the people at Standards Bureau, Medford, Dr. Campbell, all these people, and talking about agricultural health and food safety as part of a wider Caribbean project. And I was able to bring up points about NASA, nothing out of the confidentiality agreement that I had with them, right? But I'm just saying that I've been in a unique position to see this climate smart agriculture thing mushroom in Grenada in a different kind of way. So I've had my tentacles in a lot of different areas. So when I talk about climate smart agriculture here, I'm in a position to take a fairly broad view of all that is involved in this climate smart agriculture thing for the purposes of our exercise, right? Willon? You good? Yeah. Yeah? So what I'm going to attempt to do now is start looking at my and the official sort of definitions of what climate smart agriculture involves. So adaptation and mitigation are the core of CSA. Now, I need to spend some time on this as well. Remember, this is an introductory talk, eh? This is to put the whole SAEP thing in perspective. The reason why I describe this as a quality assurance workshop, a workshop, not a training session, a workshop. In other words, we could be doing the work together. And why I chose quality assurance as the overall title is that quality is about consistency. Quality is about consistency. When you hear people saying that a brand is associated with particular quality, it could be poor quality, but it's consistency. What you want is that you must be sure that this is the quality you're going to get all the time, whether it's high quality or low quality. And since quality is about consistency, I couldn't see SAEP operating without a consistency in the definitions and the interpretations. In other words, what Mr. Clark considers climate smart agriculture should be the same as what everybody else considers climate smart for the purposes of the project. Don't get me wrong, eh? You could still have your individual view. You could still think as an individual that this climate change thing is over top. But for the purposes of working here and being paid through this project, then we all should have the same common understanding so that when we go to talk to farmers at NIFO or when we go to talk to farmers anywhere else in St. Patrick or anywhere else, we have a consistent message. There's an understanding of how we are going to move these 7,500 people up and hopefully out of poverty, or at least they improve their livelihoods. Everybody with me still? I like to say that, I like to ask that, because as I said, the only thing that would upset me today, and I'm being very frank with you, the only thing that would upset me today is if at 3 o'clock this afternoon when we go in our respective ways, somebody walk up to me and say, you know, this morning about 9 o'clock, you see a piece of shipping, I really don't understand. That would upset me. It would upset me because you didn't bring it up then. And you waited until 3 o'clock when I can't do anything about it then. Stop me now, all right? If I say anything that you're really, even if you slightly disagree with it, even if you don't strongly disagree with it, please say it so that we could deal with it. So I would at least know where you are. So I know that I'm not just talking to people who sit down there saying, until Mr. Campbell leave, I sit down here. Because and they just time in and they figure, ain't time Byron leave. That is it. So please, let's not have that kind of relationship, right? We are all adults. If you find out talking shippers, or if you find there's something, please say it, because it really will defeat the purpose of the day and a half and day and tomorrow, right? So, why do I say climate smart agriculture is about mitigation and adaptation? First, I have to explain what the two things are about. Adaptation, everybody with me? Yeah, sure. Adaptation is about how we here are going to change what we do to be able to survive because of this climate change thing. Everybody with me? That's what adaptation is. I'll go over again. Adaptation is about what we have to do to make sure we stay alive during this climate change thing. Mitigation is what we can do to reduce this climate change thing, or to reduce the impact of this climate change thing. In other words, are we going to be part of the problem or part of the solution? When you start talking about mitigation, you're trying to be part of the solution. So you're trying to cut down on the amount of greenhouse gases even though it's a minuscule amount. Get me straight, eh? even though we are not the major polluters, every drop full bucket.